There's a thing called HAPTOGLOBIN. The monthly subscription programs work very well. They've been very popular. Check them out. HAPTOGLOBIN, if you ever thought about it, hemoglobin A1C is measuring our hemoglobin and the amount of sugar that's been bound to hemoglobin. Did you ever think about how and why you can look at that? It gives you a measurement over the 3-month period. The reason it gives you a measurement is your red blood cells tend to last about 3 months and then they die. When they die, they burst open and that hemoglobin just gets spilled into your artery tree. Well, that's what HAPTOGLOBIN does. It comes in and it cleans up that spilled hemoglobin. Well, HAPTOGLOBIN 2 is a genetic variation. It's very common. It's got a prevalence of 50%. And I won't go into the science behind it, but that means 3/4 of us have at least one allele. It's an allelic prevalence of 50%. So 1/4 of us are HAP11, 1/4 of us are HAP22, and 50% of us are HAP12. Now, why does that matter? It appears that most of us who end up having significant cardiovascular inflammation have some version, some allele of HAP2, because HAP2 does not pull that burnt hemoglobin back out. It doesn't clean it up well. If you go deeper into it, there's also a couple of other connections. One of those connections is that it's very much associated with gliadins, glutens and gliadins. It hits a thing in our membrane cells called tight junctions. And for those of us who have HAP22, the protein precursor for HAP22 is called ZONULIN, ZONULIN. For some reason, in those of us that have that separates the tight junctions, and whatever you're eating can just start entering directly into your bloodstream, causing all kinds of inflammation. And that was the thing. When the whole thing about leaky gut came out, somebody asked me about it. One of my family members mentioned it, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. Well, it turns out I was flat wrong, and it was flat right. And there's a fellow named Alessio Fasano, Fasano. He's an Italian gastroenterologist who had a tiny academic program in the back of the library at University of Maryland, who came up with that, started doing a lot of work on it. At this point, they have actually done the entire genetics. They've shown the amino acid profile of zonulin and HAP2, and he's got a giant zonulin program at Harvard. So good for him. And I will go back to my family. I have a couple of family members with that problem. Also happened to be HAP2 too. And one of them wanted to go to an event. We had dinner and it was a meat plate. It was given by a cook, a chef, and she taught us how to make croissants. She said, I know you're low carb, but will you try this with me? So I did. We tried it, and a couple of us have been having some challenges with that HAP22 and GI distress. So you actually, a much more common issue than most of us realize in terms of what we eat and long-term impact. And it's more than just impact on our gut. It's impact on our thyroid. It's impact on our diabetes.